This video is going to review the concept of elapsed time. Elapsed time is time that has passed. So I've got a couple things here, and I'm going to go over a couple of reminders. First of all, I have a clock that has no hands, and I use this as a tool whenever I'm going to do elapsed time. A couple of things to go over. Remember, when you're using a clock, this is called an analog clock, the kind that has hands. It tells the same type of time as a digital clock. You just have to know how to read it. And remember, on an analog clock, that the shorter hand is the hour hand and the longer hand is the minute hand. Remember that the distance between each number accounts for 5 minutes. And then the distance around the clock is a total of 60 minutes. So if we said that something was half past, that would mean that instead of being o'clock, it's going to be down here at the half past at the 6. So it's going to be 1:30 or 2:30 or 7:30 or 10:30. If it is half past, it is 30 minutes past the hour. And the other thing to remember is that whenever we talk about a quarter after or a quarter till, I'm going to put this over here in this box. A quarter means this fraction, 1/4. And we often think of quarters in terms of money. And so a quarter in terms of money is 25 cents because a dollar is worth 100 cents. And so 1/4 of a dollar is 25 cents. And I have found that with fourth graders, that can be a little confusing because then when we transfer that concept to time, I will say to them, well, what is a quarter after 1? And they'll often tell me it's 1:25 because they're thinking of that quarter as it applies to money. So a quarter, that term 1/4 equals quarter. And a quarter just means 1/4. Well, a whole hour is worth 60 minutes, not 100 cents or not 100 minutes. So going back to money, when we take 100 and we divide it into 4 groups, each group has 25. So that's why it's 25 cents. But when we take a clock, which has 60 minutes, and we divide it into 4 groups, into quarters, we're going to end up, this is going to be a quarter right here, from here to here, or this much. So a quarter in time is 15 minutes because here's 15, here's another quarter, which is 30, here's another quarter, which is 45, and here's another quarter, which makes it 60. So I just want you to remember that a quarter in time is actually 15 minutes. And I'm just going to put this up here in our text box because that is often a confusing concept for fourth graders. So that's just a little preliminary information. So whenever we talk about elapsed time, you're usually going to be given a time, say soccer practice started at 1 o'clock and it ends at 2:15. How long did it last? And you have to figure out how many hours and how many minutes it lasted. So here's a little bit more preliminary information. When you go ahead or back a full hour, the minutes don't change. And what I mean by that statement is this. So if I say, well, right now it's 4 o'clock, what time will it be in 5 hours? Well, you'll say, well, it's now 4 o'clock. What time will it be in 5 hours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be 9 o'clock. So you'll notice that this 0, 0 and that 0, 0 did not change. We went ahead 5 hours, but the only thing that changed was that hour number. So the same thing, if I said, well, we get out of school at 3:15 and in 2 hours we are going to go to karate lessons, then that means, not able to add here, that means that if we get out of school at 3:15 and we go ahead 2 full hours, then karate lessons are going to be at 5:15. So the minutes didn't change, just the hours did. Now that's if we go ahead strictly by hours. We're not adding any minutes, we're just adding hours. I want you to realize that because that will help us when we do this elapsed time. So I'm going to see if I can't get this chart up here a little bit. So here's our little chart, and this is going to be similar to your assignment. You're going to have a start time and an end time, and then you have to figure out the elapsed time. So if I say I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock a.m., and because I had a bad dream, and then I thought, oh my goodness, I have to get up at 7:45 a.m. How much time between the time I woke up and the time I had to get up passed? So this is what I like to do. I say, okay, it's 3 o'clock right now. I'm going to go ahead, 3 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead 1, 2, 3, 4 hours till I get to 7 o'clock. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, okay, that was 4 hours. I went ahead 4 hours and now I'm at 7 o'clock. So now I have to go from 7 o'clock to 7:45. So if I was at 7 o'clock, that means that my minute hand would be right here. I want to go from o'clock to 45. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So that's going to be 45 minutes. So from 3 o'clock a.m. to 7:45 is 4 hours and 45 minutes. All right. Well, what if we left the park at 2 p.m. and we arrived at Grandma's house at 4:15? How long did it take us to get to Grandma's house? So I'm going to say, oh, I started at 2, 3, 4. That's 2 hours. So I'm going to say, okay, that's 2 hours. And then 15 minutes. Because in 2 hours it was 2 o'clock. And then we got there at 4:15. So that is, it took us 2 hours and 15 minutes to get to grandmother's house. All right. Well, I ate dinner at 6:30 p.m. I did not go to bed till midnight. How much time elapsed or passed from the time I ate dinner to the time that I went to bed? All right. So I'm going to say, okay, 6:30, and I want to go to midnight. 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. I don't want to go all the way to 12:30. I want to go back to 11:30. The reason I don't want to go to 12:30 is because I want to go to 12 midnight. 12:30 would be past 12 midnight. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to say, okay, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. See how I'm breaking this into parts? I'm going to say, okay, that is 5 hours. And I'm at 11:30. And I know I want to go from 11:30 up to 12 o'clock. And so from here all the way around is 30 minutes. So that means that it was 5 hours and 30 minutes from the time I ate dinner to the time I went to bed. All right, here's one that's a little bit different because we are going from AM to PM. If you recall, AM is morning time. We call it morning. So AM goes from 12 midnight all the way up to 11:59 a.m. or almost noon. So that is from 12 midnight all the way to noon. And then PM is afternoon. So PM goes from noon all the way to 12 midnight where it changes again. So if we start off at 11:45 a.m., this is right before noon, right before the lunch hour. And then this is 2:15 p.m. So this is 2:15 in the afternoon. So if we go from 11:45 to 2:15, this is how I would count it. I would say, okay, I'm at 11:45, and then I'm going to say 12:45, 1:45. If I go up to 2:45, that's too far. So I want to go ahead 2 hours. I'm now at 11:45, 12:45. I'm at 1:45. So down here on my chart, I'm going to say that's 2 hours. And at 2 hours, I'm at 1:45, which would make my minute hand point right there. 1:45 or 15 minutes before 2. And I know I want to go all the way over here till my minute hand would point to 15 after 2. So if I'm here and I want to go all the way around to there, that's going to be 30 minutes. So 30 minutes. Notice here I'm using the H to show hours and the M to show minutes. So that's how I would like for you to do it on your paper as well. And then finally, we have 8:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. So this is 8:30 in the evening, and this is 1 o'clock in the morning. So if I went to bed at 8:30 and I woke up with a bad dream at 1 a.m., how much time would that be? So I'm going to use my little blank clock up here. I'm going to say, okay, I was at 8:30, and I want to go as close to 1 o'clock as I can get. So 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. I don't want to go all the way back to 1:30. I want to go right here. So from 8:30 to 12:30 is 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. And now I'm at 12:30. I'm going to write down my 4 hours while it's fresh in my head. I'm going to say now I'm at 12:30, which would mean my minute hand points to the 6. I want to go from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock would put the minute hand on the 12. So if I was at 12:30 up to 1 o'clock, that's another 30 minutes. So that is how you work with elapsed time when you know the start time and you know the end time, and you're being asked to find how much time has passed between those things.